Start wherever we want.
Hey, we're just start where we want. Welcome back to Just Weirdly Blended, where you get your daily dose of motherfuckers like us.
Hi.
Not daily dose, weekly dose.
Weekly dose. You get 1/7 of a daily dose.
Almost.
Yeah, we're close.
Close. Anyway, welcome back to Just Weirdly Blended. I'm Jesse.
I'm Tom.
We did it backwards. It's cool, whatever.
I like doing it big.
I like doing it backwards. Hey, ask my wife. Hey.
It's the end of March.
I like doing it backwards. How would you do it backwards? Looking at the wall. She's doing you.
Butt to butt.
Butt to butt.
Scissors.
I like scissor, my wife.
I don't get much out of it, but
I know.
We call it the nutcracker in my house.
You do that move? You do that nutcracker move?
The nutcracker.
You ever do the nutcracker?
Oh, man.
That hurts.
Yeah, it's not so good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now I know how people tuck.
I know.
Oof.
The tuck, nip tuck. Dude, I just seen these boxers. They're like, they hold your nuts. I kind of want some.
Hold on. Oh, not a person boxer.
You know, this guy, he's like Mike Tyson, but he holds your balls
Mike
while you
Tyson
box.
to hold my balls.
Go.
Okay.
You're like, what? A boxer?
No, all right.
He holds your nuts?
Well, what boxer is it? I mean, it's Floyd Mayweather. That's for new
he
work.
needs so much money. He's so poor.
God, that guy's got so much money.
His Bugatti's just not cutting it.
Ay.
All right.
I would do one fight with him just to lose for some of that money.
I'll take a knockout.
I know I couldn't take him.
I know I couldn't.
Like he'd knock me out in one punch.
I'll tackle him though.
I would do it.
I would try to tackle
I would do with him what they do in basketball. He'd barely touch me, and I'd fly on the floor.
Just flop.
I'd be done.
Like as soon as he swings, you flop.
just
from the air.
Totally limp.
Oh god!
Look at the ref.
He hit me below the belt. This is bullshit. He just.
Oh man!
Can you imagine?
Well, what money
can you
do you get
imagine
just for losing?
Nobody beating him.
Yeah, but he chose his fights. Like
he did.
He was. I mean, like nothing against Floyd Mayweather.
Nothing against Floyd. He's a great boxer. Very defensive boxer. Very good.
Like honestly, it's smart. Like why?
People talk shit about him, and I was one of those people. But when you look at his fights, he's very defensive. He might not be like a power puncher. He's very like, he bobs and weaves, right? Good boxer. Is there better? Dodge other fights that he should have. Like, he picked and chose his fights. Yeah. So, is he the greatest? I don't consider him the greatest boxer, in my opinion. You got Chavez that fucking fought like half as many, not half as many, but half. He did like almost two times more. Yeah. Like he almost 100 fights undefeated. Damn. Obviously Mexico and obviously they, we can't say they're all great, but they're all considered professional boxing. Sure. But anyway, Mike Tyson 100 times better than him.
He bites fucking ears off.
Mike Tyson was a beast though. Still, even before that, like
and he's funny. Even to this day, he's
this day, Mike Tyson's very, he's funny, but he's very very down to earth. Very like,
I think he's grown in his older age. Right?
Very motivating in the way he talks and just like trying to figure things.
Which
he's a different guy than he used to be.
He really had issues when he was younger. But a lot of people do.
But he's like Mike Tyson has grown a lot, obviously, and so he schools people. He'll talk and he'll just say some real shit. And I don't know. I have a lot of respect for Mike Tyson. He'll say some stuff that like really. I started hearing stuff like on the YouTube shorts and stuff that I'm like, shit, that's coming out of you, Mike. This is awesome. You just always believe in yourself. Never believe in anybody else. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Today's your day. You're going to make it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, dude.
You're going to choose your own future.
I love him. I love Mike Tyson.
Good. Like with the lisp and everything, I would never, to his face, make fun of that lisp.
Did you ever hear the Eddie Murphy, Murphy stand-up? Not stand-up, but Eddie Murphy was doing I don't know if it was awards or what, but he did a Mike Tyson impression, and Mike Tyson was right there. It was so funny.
That's ballsy.
It was ballsy.
Talking about a nutcracker. That's a nutcracker right there. Sitting right in front of Mike Tyson.
I don't know. But yeah.
Suffering succotash.
Sound like Daffy Duck.
That's what's it? Yeah, is it Daffy Duck?
It's Daffy Duck.
No, it's the cat, isn't it? What the hell's his name?
Sylvester.
Sylvester Stallone. No, not Stallone.
It's a cat. This is what we're gonna do.
Sylvester Stallone. He's cool too. He
is.
does awesome boxing movies.
Rocky. Dude's a good
Rocky.
Like his movies are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Did you guys ever see the Batman? By the way, speaking of movies,
Not the new one though.
you guys got to see it.
I know. I just can't convince her to sit for 3 hours.
Dude, it doesn't feel
It's a good
like
3 hours.
3 hours.
Shit, I'm going tonight.
It doesn't feel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not really
just a
gonna go
little
tonight,
over
but-
3 hours, but it doesn't feel like 3 hours. Like the movie, like I don't know. It's one of those movies where just
It takes you
all of a
along for the
sudden
ride.
it does.
Right?
It's a good detective movie. Like
A detective movie.
oh fuck,
That's an
great.
interesting way to describe
Great
it.
detective movie
Because I wouldn't characterize most superhero movies as a detective
Well, what is Batman?
drama, if you
What is Batman considered? The greatest detective.
Okay.
That's what he's considered.
Really? That's
Yeah.
like a formal thing?
He's the world's greatest detective. Is what they consider Batman,
Oh,
right?
God damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Batman is the world's greatest detective. So this is him year 2 into being a Batman. He's still trying to figure out who the fuck he is. Still trying to figure. So it has really good detective moments, right?
How's Pete, what's his name? Robertson? Pete Robertson? Is that his name? Who's
Paul
the,
Dano.
No. The guy who plays Batman in this one. What?
Oh, Rob Patterson.
I had it backwards. Rob
I'm like
Patterson.
Pete Davidson.
What's Pete? How?
Pete Davidson? Rob Patterson. Rob
Pete
Patterson?
Davidson is Batman.
Rob Patterson.
Rob Pattinson. How does he do the
Bro.
voice? How does he do the Batman voice? Because like as much as I love the Dark Knight and all
Great.
that, the funniest part was when you'd hear.
I actually think he had a better Batman voice than Christian Bale.
Okay, because Christian Bale, like it was a little funny, like
What are you doing here? You gotta go.
I just wondered if he couldn't like yell in like
No.
American
So his
English,
is
or-
he does a deep voice. He does
Yeah.
he
I'm
does the-
Batman.
what are we gonna do? But he's just more like that. What are we gonna do? It's not I'm Batman. Blah, 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 blah. It's more like it's like
Yeah.
he has the voice.
Okay.
You don't see much of him as Bruce Wayne. And
Oh,
when you
really?
do see the clips of Bruce Wayne, he's just like
Uncomfortable. Or?
he hates being Bruce Wayne. You can tell. Like it's for him, like Bruce Wayne is just like I'd fuck Bruce Wayne.
He has to deal with being Bruce Wayne.
He doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne.
So like
He wants
is
to be
it
Batman.
later on that he understands he has to he has to
to be
play the
both.
playboy
Yes.
so he can be. So this is prior to him realizing
Yes.
he has to
Yep,
project one image
exactly.
to hide.
Yeah,
his
he
real-
has to be okay. I am a
the
Wayne.
playboy who doesn't care.
I gotta help out the city being a Wayne, being Bruce Wayne, carrying on my father's whatever.
Yeah. Leader of the
But
city.
Batman, like he's still very, very raw. It's Batman. His voice is really good. Like he does a really good Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne's very more emo-ish. He has like long hair and it's like
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
he's just very dark. He's just trying to
commercials.
figure out who he is. He doesn't want
So
to.
he's like, this is emo Bruce Wayne.
Well,
he's
and-
like,
and
he
people-
hasn't quite.
When they say
come-
the emo, you think of obviously you're gonna think of fucking
Yeah.
What is that movie? Where he was in? Oh, Twilight. You're gonna think of Twilight.
He twinkles in the sunlight. stuff
Different.
like
It's
that.
100% different. Yes, he's emo in it, but at the same time, you got to realize he's not wanting to be that person. He wants to. He wants to be Bruce Wayne, or he wants to be Batman.
So he's trying to
He doesn't
pull
just know who
elements
he
of
is.
Batman into Bruce Wayne. So he can cope with
as
being
he's Bruce Wayne, he's just like
Fuck
just
Bruce
like
Wayne.
he'd rather just wear the suit.
He just feels
He doesn't
dark.
want to deal with the business aspect of being a Bruce. He doesn't want to deal with the publicity.
He doesn't
want to
run an empire.
Wayne. Yeah,
and he doesn't want to go out. To
and
the
you'll
social
see
things.
that parts where he's just
that's
like,
cool.
"No, I don't want to do that. Like that's not who I am. But then like the way they do the movie, like
So is
there's
Alfred still
real-
a British Alfred?
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay.
So the guy who does Alfred was actually in Black Panther. He's a brilliant actor.
okay. Who
Andy
is it?
Serkis.
Huh.
He was Schmeagol. My
Oh,
precious.
really?
My precious. So the guy who is Schmeagol's voice, Andy Serkis, is
Okay.
is Alfred. He was a bad guy in the Black Panther movie. He was
Okay. Yeah.
He's
I've seen
a
him.
brilliant act. The acting in that movie is brilliant.
All
like
right.
every single person in that movie, from like they do a brilliant. To me, being like a fanatic of Batman, they do a phenomenal job.
The
like
best hands down ever.
I don't know if it's that best. It's different.
Okay.
It's not terrible.
They did
it's
it
not
justice doing something new.
Oh, they did it amazing justice.
Yeah.
It's a different Batman than you're gonna watch, right?
Yeah, okay.
I can't. I'm not one of those people. It's better than the Dark Knight, but it's a different, right? It's actually based off a comic, and there's aspects from that comic that the actual writer and like artist saw in the movie that was like he was kind of blown away.
Now that's been kind of
he was like, wow, they used that for my comic in the movie. That's awesome. Like he was like that's so cool.
Well, because the different movie, I don't know what you want to call them. What do you call that? The different franchises, I guess, of the Batman movies. They've all kind of been based off of like a different,
and they always go into the origin story. Yeah, Batman's parents died. We all know that,
right? So this one didn't focus so much on that. This focuses. He's an adult.
He's Batman. He's 2 years in as Batman.
Okay,
they start that out straight up.
But
Batman's talking
more into the time, like we always see.
He sees Gotham as shitty.
Established Batman and flashbacks to Bruce Wayne walking into the alley.
You see Bruce Wayne as
Bruce Wayne, who hates being Bruce Wayne, has discovered Batman and wants to be Batman.
Yeah, he wants to be Batman, but he doesn't know how to be Batman yet, right? He doesn't know how to be the savior of Gotham yet.
So he's
still trying to. Obviously, like Gordon, James Gordon, the detective,
commish.
He's not
a commissioner yet.
Not yet.
He's Detective Gordon.
But Detective Gordon still relies on Batman. Wants his point of view because he knows Batman is very smart, right? Yeah. And so he's still and the guy who plays Commissioner Gordon does a great job.
Yeah,
I can't remember the actor's name. He does a great job as Gordon.
See.
To me, he was probably one of the best Gordons. Honestly, he was one of the best Gordons. Just like Andy Serkis was he was a pretty good Alfred, bro. Like,
is it this guy?
Yep. Yeah, awesome.
Jeffrey Wright.
Awesome.
Jeffrey Wright. Okay,
so good.
Cool.
He was a brilliant. Him and Gary Oldman were the best.
And Gary Oldman was in
Dark Knight,
right?
Yeah. Great. And Gary Oldman's, he's a phenomenal actor. Jeffrey Wright, phenomenal.
Yeah, he has. What the?
But he does a good job. Like I'm telling you, it's just a different. Like I hate when people are like, oh no, right?
Because
they're comparing it to something else. But you got to go into that movie thinking that it's not trying to be a different movie. It's its own movie, and it holds so good. It's comparable to Dark Knight. To me, it's comparable to those Christopher Nolan movies. Mm-hmm. Easily. There's like an Easter egg at the end. Like they showed a Joker, like at the end, like after the credits.
Right.
You don't see him, but you see him, and like, oh, dude, it's
just a little snippet of it.
Oh, it's good. And Paul Dano as the Riddler does a good job. Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Yeah, you were saying,
bro. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Didn't even know.
Not used to seeing him as fat, short, bald,
and speaking like a New Yorker. Yeah, this is bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
Look at this Batman over here fucking
No,
up
that's how he was. And he wasn't like the main person in that movie. He was there. Mm-hmm. So he was actually still an under person. He was just, you knew who he was. You know, he's the Penguin because they say his name.
Yeah.
He wasn't a main bad guy. He wasn't the main person, the focus in that movie.
Yeah.
But God, when his scenes were there, he stole the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hands down, it was a great movie. Nice. It was great.
I want to talk for a second about the Batmobile.
Great.
The Batmobile
is badass.
Does not look like...
No.
Yeah.
Well, because it's year 2 Batmobile, so he's still trying to figure out the Batmobile.
So he just basically souped up this old car, right?
Yeah, he souped up my Chevelle.
Yeah. And he
put some nitrous in that bitch.
Flies it through flames and shit.
Well, yeah, because you have to watch
guy
that.
in the trailer for it.
That's the Penguin.
The bad guy.
That's the Penguin.
That's the Penguin. Okay.
That's Colin Farrell, bro.
I wasn't sure if that. Oh yeah.
That's Colin Farrell. If you look at him, you still won't see
that.
You won't see that.
I see it as Penguin. I was thinking that he was supposed to be who's the mob guy in like
Falcone. Falcone's in it, and the guy who plays Falcone is he's a great actor too.
Who's that?
John Tortino. John
Tortilla.
John Tortilla.
Yeah,
Hey.
okay.
So he was in Big Daddy as the butler. He was in a lot of the fucking Transformer movies. He's in so many movies. He's such a good actor.
Oh yeah, okay.
Dude, brilliant actor too.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. All the acting.
He's the Jesus in Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he's so funny. He does a good job as Falcone,
Man,
right?
I could see that. Yeah.
He does a good job.
Okay.
Everyone does a good job in their parts.
Mm-hmm.
What is her name? Zoe Kravitz.
Okay. Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz and Jason Momoa's stepdaughter.
Okay.
Lisa Bonet. That's Lisa Bonet. She's pretty hot for being as old as she is.
She's Cat.
She was from.
Is Kravitz? Is she a Catwoman?
Yeah, she's Catwoman.
Okay.
Awesome Catwoman.
And then who is the
best Catwoman to me
who's
already?
The other gal? Yeah. Oh, really?
No. I was just saying that's
Cameron.
Let me see.
This gal? Is this the other gal you were talking about?
No. I don't know who the fuck that is.
I don't know.
No, I was saying, so Zoe Kravitz is Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet's daughter.
Okay.
So Lisa Bonet was in the Cosby Show.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was Jason Momoa's wife now.
Right. Okay.
And so Zoe Kravitz is Jason Momoa's stepdaughter. And so Jason Momoa and Lisa have been together for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So he's been apart for a while.
He had a stake.
So it was cool. So what was cool and what actually brings me to what we're about was Lisa Bonet and him split up for a minute, but he went to the premiere of Batman to support Zoe.
That's cool.
As a good step. That's something I could see you doing.
Sure.
Yeah. Say, God forbid, and I hope this never happens. You and Blanca split up, right?
Yeah.
But you would still be there for Elena.
Right.
And so that's how it was for him. He went to there to support her, and he was still, as much as people want to, I don't think anybody hates Jason. I love Jason Momoa.
I haven't heard any negativity towards him.
He's a hot dude, it's Jason Momoa. Hey,
look at him swim through the
ocean. I've seen so many good movies and shows from him. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But it just brings me to the fact that the way their family is, reminds me of us. We're always going to be there for our daughters.
Right.
My daughters, when I say my daughters, not all of them are my real blood daughters, but they're my daughters. I had told you off air, last week was my nephew, which is on my wife's side. Mm-hmm. It was his 15th. We hosted. We had a great time. I drank a little bit, right? I hadn't drank in a while, so I decided to drink a little bit, and it all hit me. Anyway, I was pretty, inebriated, and one of my oldest, we'll say stepdaughter, but I don't like saying that word, right? I just feels like I'm trying to I don't know.
I know.
You know what I mean? Do you like saying stepdaughter? It's my stepdaughter.
I don't know. I always feel weird if I don't clarify it. So
exactly. I always say my daughter.
She's my stepdaughter, but I consider her my daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying because we're step-parents.
I don't want to lie, and then later you're like,
hey, what do you mean? That's my daughter.
I don't want to get this guy riled up.
Because for you who haven't listened, his stepdaughter is actually my daughter.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's right.
That's right, folks.
If you don't believe it, we have a kid together.
Yeah, we're gonna hold hands.
Come here, man.
We love each other.
Speaking of the best moment of my life was when Elena introduced us to her second grade teacher.
Which one?
Second grade.
When we all went to her.
What the teacher's name was? Yeah.
Oh, Miss Ramos at Cascade.
These are my dads.
Yeah.
Our wives are right over there.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was
Miss Ramos. She was a Seahawk fan. I remember
she
that.
grabbed our hands.
I wanted to punch her. Nah, I'm just kidding. I didn't want to punch her.
These are my dads.
These are my daddies. These are my dads.
This is my man right here.
This is my man. Hey.
Stop it.
I know. He's so good to
Nothing
me.
wrong with that. We're just not that.
Yeah, we're not that. But no.
you know.
So I thought it was cool that they did that because that's something I could see us doing. But anyway, so during that whole thing, my stepdaughter, which I never say, I don't like to say, but my daughter, my oldest, her friend came over, and so me being inebriated,
Being the fun guy that you are.
I never met the guy, so I just went over there and acted stupid. Hey, motherfucker, who the fuck are you? You know, who the fuck are you?
You're just defending.
I love my daughter, so you better fucking be nice to her. And I was being like that, like, and she kind of laughed, and she knew I was joking.
He didn't.
He might not have at the same time at that moment, but then at the end, I shook his hand. I was just like, I'm just fucking, babe, I'm fucking.
Yeah,
with you.
we're good, bro. We're good.
It's just a friend of hers, but I never met him, so I like to know my kids as friends, and so being drunk, whoever says shit in the right mind being drunk, I don't. There's some shit I do say, and that's just who I am.
I think as far as legal defenses, that should be a legal defense. Your Honor, he was drunk. Okay, all charges are dropped.
Will I ever be sorry for coming at like my daughter's boyfriends or friends or anybody like that? I will never in 100 years, drunk or sober, be sorry for that.
Girls, if
I'll scare the fuck out of them.
Boyfriend can't handle your dad coming in,
and that's what
drunk,
then
you don't want to be with.
So the next day, like me, Sadia, Alicia, like we were all at the table. Alicia, one of Alicia's sisters and stuff. We're all at the table talking and stuff. And I was just like, there's parts of that night I don't remember, obviously, and that wasn't one of them. There's a couple others that I remember.
You telling us about it.
Yeah,
sure.
But she, at that moment, she was like, "Hey, do you remember when you talked to my buddy this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember. I remember.
I was sober.
I was like, you know what? If he can't handle me coming at him like that, then he don't need to be around us."
Right.
And
as the old saying goes, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the fucking kitchen.
Which he was cool about it. So
so he's a good guy. He's a stand-up guy.
He's stand up. And just like, one of her other buddy, like her other buddy, like they were cool too. And he's still cool as shit. Tim. Shout out to Tim. He's a good guy. Love the dude.
I think I saw Tim the other day.
You saw Tim?
No. I mean, like, I think
you didn't see him. He's in Arizona right now.
Never mind. I saw someone looked a lot like him then.
He has a twin brother.
Oh.
Who's also in Arizona.
I did not see either of them. Never mind.
His dad might be.
Okay.
I don't know if they look like your dad.
Nah, his dad would
Tim's
be
a good
very
guy.
young.
Tim's a cool kid.
He's a nice guy.
But like, Tim knows how I am, and like, I like to introduce myself to Sadia's friends.
Yeah.
And not just her friends, but like
that's how a dad should.
Even Elena's little friend came that day. So she got to hang out with her friend, who she doesn't really get to hang out with very often, Allison.
Oh, yeah.
So I waved and I talked to them. Oh, I didn't talk to them. I'm lying. Look, a little liar. I'm such a liar. I talked to them and we just had this great conversation about life.
So how are you girls doing today?
Yeah, no, I was sober when that happened.
Yeah.
It was around 1-ish, so I was pretty sober then.
Yeah.
The other one, I was not sober. I was pretty drunk.
But he was an adult. He can handle it.
He handled it.
Yeah. Good. Good for him.
But no.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I actually was doing a little research this afternoon before the show.
On drunks. Okay, cool.
And on alcoholics. Did you know that we are both one of them? No, just kidding.
Nope.
No, we are actually not. We are quite responsible gentlemen most of the time.
And that's what makes us alcoholics because we deny the fact that we're alcoholics.
I realize I keep putting this up and I forgot what I wrote on the back. Anyway.
No one's going to ever read that.
So I was looking up information about blended families, right?
Yeah.
Because we are a blended family. And
100%.
we are the two dads in a blended family scenario. He is first dad, and then I came into the picture later. And
I'm also a second dad.
You are a second dad because you had a daughter going into your new marriage.
I did.
And she had children before.
She did. She had 3.
I did not have any children coming into my marriage. My wife had Elena.
Anybody who not to cut you off, but anybody who says like being a step parent is easy, you're full of shit.
The research I did actually discussed that.
It's hard. It's
so
not easy.
There's a lot of stress. What these articles I read were talking about was there's an immense amount of stress in a blended family scenario. So if you are someone,
I don't know what he's about to talk about, this whole stress thing. I just know that he's talking about a blended family. So I just want people to know that, like, I'm not just like, oh
yeah.
And then like, yeah, he knows. They already know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to make that clear.
You're right.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, the amount of families that are like your traditional nuclear family,
like just like mom, dad,
primary dad stay together, have the kids,
stuff that's fake.
Together.
Okay, I get it.
There's like, I think the number was like 40%.
You're in the 40%, bro.
So, well, my parents were.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So far, I'm holding on there with my own marriage because I've never been married before.
Well, no, I mean also, but like your parents, like
my parents made it. I mean, even
like you're one of those 40% kids.
Yeah, very traditional.
That's awesome.
We were like the typical nuclear family, 2 kids,
dude. And that's what's crazy is I grew up the opposite.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I have a pussy. But
no, not even. Don't even say that.
Anyway, so the information was really interesting. Actually, if you are a blended family, the success rate is far worse, actually. The amount of divorce out of the blended families pops up to about 60% of a fail rate. Now,
why is that? What do they mean 60%?
Well, we'll get into that a little bit. But for families that came into the relationship where both sides had children coming in,
okay,
the divorce rate went up to 70%.
So like me and Alicia, the way we came in, that divorce rate's going to even go higher.
Could be.
No, I know what you mean. But I'm just saying, like,
statistical average would be a 70%. Now, this isn't based on government statistics. This is based on just like groups that have kind of conglomerated what
out of the 100 people
the data available,
out of the 100,
the most reliable
30% stayed okay.
So take that with a couple grains of salt.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
But I will say,
divorce rate is what, 50%.
The information that they came up with about what are the leading causes of those stresses, it does make sense. Because a lot of that
parenting
had to do with your parenting styles.
Oh, exactly.
You have existing children. You have to come in halfway into the development of these kids. For the parent stepping into that role,
okay,
they really emphasize that part of it. It's somebody that, especially like if you're someone that never had a kid, so you have to learn overnight how to be a parent, and then you have to navigate the scenario of bonding with this child. But also
not overstepping your boundary
and being a parent.
Yes.
Because you also can't just let the child do whatever they want, but you don't necessarily have this relationship with them.
Well, so I get what you're saying because
you've had scenarios that.
So when originally after me and Blanca split up, I didn't want to get with anybody that didn't have a kid, right?
Uh-huh.
So I ran into issues where it was like, they came at me like, oh, you don't want to, you just, you're using your daughter's excuse, or you don't want to hang out with me because of your daughter. And so like, for me, that was not cool. Like, right. I was like, no, my daughter,
she's a priority.
She's number one in my book. Like, I don't care if you're 30-year-old. I don't care if you're the hottest woman on earth. If you ever said that to me, like, fuck you, my daughter is 100% more important to me.
If you'll eat a dick for your family, you will not hang out with a hot girl. If I eat dick for
my family, there's no way in the fucking world a hot ass bitch comes at me and says some shit, and then like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna ignore my daughter. Like, there's no way in hell. That's my girl. That's my daughter. Like, that's my life.
So let's get this straight. You will ignore hot girls and eat dick for your family.
I'll do that. 100%, 1,000%.
That is what a real man is.
So like my daughter, and I've told Elena that she's my heart. That's my heart, right? Like for me, that's my everything. So when I would get that, like it really bug me. It would really like kind of like get to me, and I was just, and I think eventually I was just like, no, like this is my daughter. Like,
so you feel like you ended up being pulled more in the direction of somebody that had a shared experience.
I had a kid who kind of knew what I was going through. Now, was I expecting to get with someone that had 3 kids? I 100% I wasn't. And my wife, she knows that. I've told her that. And, but I got pulled in that because I love her.
You fell in love with her,
and then I
you
fell
in love with
the kids, and I was just like, damn, this is awesome. And I loved how she was with the kids. She was never, and I think this is the difference between a lot of women and men. And I think this is where a lot of differences come, where like men are more, like women are just like these motherly beings, right? And so like they always get this stereotype, and I see where that comes from, because my wife is she never treated Elena like she was an outcast, right? From day one. And even with kids she watched, she treated these kids like if they were her kids.
Right.
She just had this mom instinct, like, this is how it's going to be. And this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And so for me, when like things would come up being a dad, like I didn't know that shit, like I didn't know how to be with the kids. And so when shit happened between the kids.
Put that out though, because those kids were not babies. Those kids range.
No.
Age,
so when I became a step parent, my step kids ranged from 3 to Sadia's 19, 20, almost like fuck. I don't know.
Yeah. She was like
3. Did I say
maybe?
3? So Cheeky was about 5 years old when I came in.
Yeah.
She's now going to be 15 coming up.
So that's 10 years ago.
10 years.
So she was 9, 10 around that time.
So yeah, so we'll say 5 to 13.
Okay.
14 years old, right? Yeah. Leo was coming.
Oh, that's right. Leo too.
Yeah. And Leo, it was different because he ended up going to live with his dad.
Yeah.
And which I understand. I understand where that was coming from. But anyway, coming in as a stepdad, I didn't know what the fuck to do. I didn't even know how to be a parent. I'm learning to be a parent at this moment in my life right now.
Right.
Me and the girl I thought I was going to be with split up, and that's cool and all. But at the same time, I'm trying to figure out how to be a dad, a single dad.
Because Elaine at that point was about 1.
She was about 1.5, 2.
1.5, 2.
She was about 2. She was actually about 2 when I got with Alicia.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5 actually, because she turned 3 when me and Alicia got together.
Yeah. Okay.
So me and Alicia were together, and then she turned 3 when me and Alicia were like pretty official.
And Block and I got together about the time she was 3.5.
Yeah. So long story short, like anyway, there would be times where it was like, obviously my daughter and the youngest, Alicia's daughter, my stepdaughter, they would fight. There would be things. And so I didn't know how. So for me, my first reaction was like, let me get on my daughter, because I don't want to discipline someone else's kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So when it came to like, I didn't know how at that time to come at someone else's kid. Or,
well,
you know what I mean?
It's a tricky thing.
I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but I also don't want to step on toes. I don't want to like upset anything. Like, and so at first I remember I would take things out, and this sounds so fucked up. I would take things out on my daughter, not take them out, but what'd you do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then later on, like I would say stuff, and the thing that really made me fall in love with Alicia was she was like, why are you doing that? She made me realize like, you don't need to do that. Like you need to get both sides of the story. I know my kid can be XYZ.
So she didn't just take her kid's side automatically.
Yeah, she never did that. And she's the one that made me like, hey, don't be an asshole. Like that's your daughter. You need to be on her side 100%. I don't care. That's your daughter 100%. That's your daughter. Be on her side. Don't be a dick. Like that's pretty much what she said to me. She didn't say it that way, but that's what she said.
For her, find out what the reality was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so at that time, like, and I just started. I'm like, okay. And so then I started realizing it, because also I'm gonna shape my daughter to be thinking she's fucking up all the time,
right?
And so I remember something came up where she said something. Elena was really young, and it just made me. It all clicked what Alicia had said to me, right? And I was like, God damn. And I cried, bro. Yeah. I cried like a fucking 2-year-old. And I remember crying, and Elena was asking me what was wrong. I'm nothing. I'm so, I apologized to her. I'm like, hey, like you're, I had to reiterate, like, you're a fucking amazing kid. Like, she had no idea I was crying. Like I was just feeling like
this, it was like out in the middle of nowhere.
I was just I was a terrible person at this moment in my life, because it all clicked to me. Like Alicia's right. Like, why am I jumping the gun on something because I'm trying to not feel bad? And that's where being a step parent, like for me, from my experience, don't ever feel bad for defending your kid, but also take into account that sometimes either your kid could be in the wrong or the other kid can be in the wrong. But you got to have that conversation with your other person.
Yeah,
and,
actually,
and that's where you're going to work, is when you have that conversation with your person. And if they're on the same page as you,
right.
things are going to work flawless. So me and Alicia, like after that moment and after just before we moved to here, after that moment, like things just started clicking. And you know, the thing I always told her is like, I'm never going to try to make myself feel like I'm the kid's dad.
Right.
But Alicia never was like, I'm going to make myself feel like I'm her mom. But Alicia just always was just, this is how it is.
And this is the thing.
This is like, how my house is. This is how shit is.
So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Your goal is not to be like, for me, I wasn't Elena's dad. She had a dad.
Yeah.
Elena, even like when she was little one time, called me dad. And I said, oh, honey, I'm not your dad. I'm Tom Tom. You have a dad.
You're Tom Tom in my phone.
And then I kind of felt bad because, like, you know, it was like one of those things like, I don't know. It just felt weird after I said it. But then
I get it.
But that was never my intention, was to be like her dad, because you were always a part of her life.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
I can only speak from my own experience, but I know what made, I think, us more successful as a whole. And it sounds like you had the same experience. The person we were with allowed us to be a parent.
Exactly.
It's not that you're trying to be the dad.
I was never trying to be the dad.
I think a scenario that would be very difficult and would probably push you to this 60 or 70% fail rate is if you were never allowed to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Because how are you supposed to be a part of that relationship and that family unit if you can't fill the role that you have to take?
Yeah.
If you're not a parent, you're just another child. That's not going to work.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing. Like, so I grew up in kind of the blended family, and obviously we fell into that category of the 60-70%. Like my stepdad and my mom never worked out. It was a very abusive household, and you know, things didn't work out. And even after my mom left my brother and sister's dad, she got another abusive, like the other stepdad. Like nothing worked out, right? We were always in that category because I think love my mom, and I don't know if this is true, but I think my mom always tried to have that guy take over as the parent instead of my mom taking over as the parent. And no, like, these are my kids.
The disciplinarian.
Yeah. Like,
gotcha.
Your dad's gonna be mad. Well, he's not my. Technically, he's not my fucking dad. I don't know this 13.
Guy. Bob's gonna be
Bob
mad.
again.
Who fucking cares about Bob?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, I think that's where parents need to draw the line. Is like, this guy, yeah, he's in your life and he's for you, right? She's for you.
Mm-hmm.
She's not for your kids. She's not for anybody else but you, right? And that's the kind of thing that Alicia, she never said that, and I always obviously realized that too. Like certain things, like I'm not going to go in there being the dad because obviously the situation I came from, like and I told Alicia because there was a certain time where it was pretty tough. Like I was told, hey, he's just doing this because he wants to buy your love or do this, and I'm like, I'm not trying to buy Noah's love.
And this was from
the
original dad. Yeah.
To this day, Leo, he's a great man. I love the dude.
Things have changed.
Things have changed 100%.
Right.
But at the time, like, obviously, I get where he's coming from. At that time, was that the case? That wasn't the case, and I always told, and that's not what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to buy my kids his love. But no. Being a step parent though, that situation was hard just because there was so much talk from the other parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like, you know, I can't be me, you know, trying to impress the kids, you know, as the parent, because now, you know, they're getting someone in their ear talking.
Right. Well, how are you going to win that argument anyway?
You're not.
They're going to listen to their dad.
Because I just remember like the stuff I like gave Leo, he gave back, and I was like, okay, that's weird, you know, like whatever. I think I've mentioned that before. But yeah, and I was like, okay. And so that's when I found out it was, I'm apparently, trying to buy the love, that's, just try to get in. And I can see where Leo was probably coming from at that moment in his life, just because it's,
well, things have changed.
Who's this guy?
A lot
Who's this guy in my kids' life now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can tell, so I just always would tell Alicia, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to continue. Eventually the kids will see that. And in years, I mean, it took years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like, it wasn't bad all the time. Obviously it was never like, you're not my dad, don't talk to me. They, it was never that way. I was never trying to be the disciplinary. Like, that's Alicia.
Right.
That she just naturally, how she is. She's just a strong woman. She just naturally takes over.
Right.
I'm a more mellow person. And so, like, even with Elena, she was always just like, okay, no, mija, like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Like, she
took charge.
She took charge. Like, when Elena came into her life, she didn't, act. She wasn't any different. I was actually more different.
Yeah.
Because, like, coming into this blended family, I'm like, I don't know how to act. What's my role now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because I didn't know what my role was.
Yeah, that's a tricky moment.
It is.
Trying to navigate how much you can say, where the line is.
Yeah.
And, Leo's a much cooler guy now than what you thought he was back then.
Yeah.
We've actually both hung out with him.
Yeah. Leo's a great guy. I love the guy.
And,
and he's a good dad to their kids.
But it's hard. It's hard on, and that's like kind of like our situation. If you are someone that's looking to figure out how to make that work, it may not work right away.
Yeah.
That wasn't a time that obviously you and Leo were going to have that kind of relationship, but over time.
Yeah. And we never really had a dialogue. Change. This is all stuff I'm hearing, because, I would say, well, hey, Leo, so Leo Jr., Leo the third.
Yeah.
That's my stepson. Yeah. He was, I told Lisa, like, hey, he gave some stuff back. And that's how I kind of find out. Apparently it was like this or whatever. It was a tough situation. Yeah. And then obviously.
And you said how old was Leo at that point?
Leo was
15,
maybe younger,
13, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Because he was middle school.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He was still in middle school.
Definitely not 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
12.
He was
13,
like,
something.
he was like 7th, 8th grade, somewhere around there. Yeah. He's now going to be 23.
Right. This is a while ago.
Yeah. Which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
But I think my shining moment as a stepdad, for me, was when the kids started like opening up, kind of being a little better towards me. Like with Cheeky, it was always, she was so young, so it was never
she was
weird.
More open, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Sadia, it took a while. There was times where it was like, it's not that she was like, you're my dad, or whatever. Like, it just took her a while to open up, obviously, because, they love their dad. I mean, they're loyal to their dad, and they should be,
Right.
But also, I'm not sitting there trying to, I've never told them, you're my kid. I say you're my kids. I always said that. Like, I hated when Alicia would say, my kids.
You own the relationship from your side.
Yeah.
Like, you accept them as your children, but you don't make them accept you as their.
Yeah. Because it'll come.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so one day was it Father's Day? And I don't know how many years ago. Sadia made me a shirt. Like, she like wrote on it and made me a shirt. I still have it hanging in my closet, but it was like said, world's best stepdad, stuff like that. And I fucking teared up. Yeah. Because I was just like, it meant so much to me. Like, I was just like, that's so awesome.
A long time coming, a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears.
Years. It took years, and even
because that just happened not that long ago. Right?
It was a few years. This was before. I want to say I got this shirt. I might have been when we first moved in the house. So 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, we've already been there 5 years, 6 years coming up.
Yeah.
So it was somewhere around there. Could have been before that. I don't think it was though. I think it was we were at where we're at right now. I don't think we were in Richland. But yeah, I breathe so hard in there.
Well, let me tell you.
I'm about to say a lot. No, but so like coming from the blended style, because you came from like a traditional household, obviously.
I did. Yeah, my background, my parents are still married. We never moved or anything. Like, I was born into a house. My parents still live in that house.
Oh, so that house over there?
Yeah,
that's the same one.
That was the house I've always lived in.
That's so cool. See, I always wondered what that'd be like.
Well, for a while, it was not cool when we were all big. like when
Well,
my
of
brother
course.
and I were in high school. It was a pretty, it's like a modest home. So, but now, I mean, I get why they did it because it's just the two of them, so it's
Yeah.
perfect. But
And
anyway,
it's like ranch style because it's like flat, right?
yeah, flat. It's a little 3-bedroom home. Like the bedrooms are like 10 by 10 or something.
Oh.
They're not.
The house
big.
looks so big.
Oh, well, thank you for on their behalf.
It does. I mean, it looks like a huge house.
Well,
I've been there a few
they
times.
keep it
I've never been in
absolutely
there. No, I've been in there once.
immaculate.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that I appreciate about why they kept it there, because they've kept everything perfect.
Your dad's
in
yard's
that whole
pretty nice.
property. Yeah, I mean, even he's been gone all winter, and he came back, and his yard is greener than mine and less weeds, not patchy. It's just,
How?
but that's,
Does he have anybody take care of it, or is it all him?
No, it's him.
Damn it.
He's just
Teach me your ways,
Kind
Dad.
of guy.
and I don't really remember him getting it aerated and stuff all that much when we were. I don't know. He
Speaking
just-
of aerated, we mean you need to go in on one.
I know. I need to get a tiller. Anyway, back to the focus that we had. So that was my background. It wasn't blended at all.
Okay.
I had a cousin that I loved very much that was blended, so I had exposure to it.
Yeah.
And they had a very successful. My Uncle Jerry, who passed away,
Oh
was
yeah.
her stepdad, and really more her dad, because even
Yeah.
though she knew her dad, he wasn't as involved.
Yeah.
And so Uncle Jerry was very much that dad role for
Okay.
her. So, I was not completely oblivious to it, but I didn't have a personal experience for myself
Yeah.
in that. So meeting Blanca, I mean, I think I lucked out in who Blanca is and who
Mhm.
she was ready to be at that point. And Elena, again, being young, I didn't deal with multiple kids of multiple age groups.
Yeah.
I think if Elena had been her age now, that would have been a lot harder. Because knowing Elena,
Yeah.
I can't read her now after knowing her from the time she was 3.5.
I've known her my whole life. She's a tough kid to read.
Yeah, she's a tough kid to read. And so that would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So I lucked out on that end of it. But I was, I think I mentioned earlier on that I felt like I screwed up a lot when she was younger, because
Oh yeah. Same
you
here.
get stressed out and life isn't always easy and you get kind of sidetracked by things. And I think, was I always just like in a bad mood, or like
Yeah.
and then Blanca actually found, there was a video that she was looking at. I think it
Mhm.
was like something that we posted getting ready for Easter or something
Okay.
about 5 years ago. So she was still tiny. And I was making something
Mhm.
to bring over. I don't know what it was. We had the mixer out and stuff.
Okay.
And she was all about it. She
Oh,
wanted to like mix everything. And it was back when she talked a lot.
Yeah.
So, and then she had that bubbly little voice.
Yeah.
So,
I
I
miss
mean,
those
like,
days sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch, because I'm like, no, here I am, like we're laughing, like we're putting pieces together,
Mhm.
and I'm helping her get it in, and she's turning the mixer on
Yeah.
and off.
She liked helping.
It
with
was-
the bacon
Yeah,
stuff.
and like, okay, like at least there are documented moments where I wasn't just a prick. Like,
Well, that's how I
you
feel.
know, like,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember. You just like, you're so caught up in your own life.
Well,
that, like,
I think as people, we never look at what we did right.
yeah,
You know,
it's
what I mean?
always a
what I fucked up, what did I do? And you just kind of dwell on that.
Yeah.
And so I can see where you're coming from with that, because even for me, there was moments like even now, sometimes I just feel like, am I just this, grumpy asshole? And,
Yeah, right.
but then,
There's moments, and honestly, sometimes the kids deserve those moments.
no,
I mean, like,
I'd
when-
be,
I
you'd
have
be
asked
lying
her
if they didn't.
1,000 times not to just leave dishes in that
Oh, yeah.
sink downstairs. We have like the wet bar.
yeah.
There's dried paint in it. There's dishes all over. And so those are the times I'm like, okay, I don't want to just be mad at you, but I have a right to be mad. Like,
Yeah.
I spent 10 minutes yesterday scrubbing paint out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
we got it,
Those are kids. That is
dude.
the epitome of children. If you don't have kids, which you're probably not listening to us if you don't have kids, just
They
know
will make a mess
anything that you love will probably get ruined
eventually.
So,
Like Chiki's notorious for her little projects. She does.
yeah, she's done them at our house too.
Yeah, she paints and does
when they
little
make
whatever.
those like sugar
Yeah,
candy things,
I don't know. They
and-
make messes.
yeah.
Don't clean it. I
All
came
the time.
home the other night after our attempt.
Yeah.
After our technical
Those
difficulty.
of you that have caught the
Yeah.
the inconsistencies,
We had a technical difficulty with the
Yeah.
website, and anyway, we
So-
planned on we're back. Here we are.
The beginning of the podcast was Friday night. This is Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So anyway, so when you went home Friday night.
So when I went Friday night, obviously I went to bed, whatever.
Yeah.
The next morning, I always clean in the mornings. Like just big old, like she did a good job at cleaning the counter and area, but she tried. She didn't do the dishes. So I wasn't mad because it's like, I think as parents, we expect the kids to be like us.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not.
Because Alicia does this. I want this room spotless. And the kids will clean it, but it's not like Alicia clean. You know what I mean?
Kids don't really have ownership of it. I mean, they're not the ones working for all this stuff. So, I mean, it's just the perception wise. They don't get it the same that we do. So they see it differently.
Yeah. But so I know Elena would be like, I just don't know if it's going to meet Alicia's standards. Like if it's clean, like I was like, Mom, you're fine. You guys did a good job. You cleaned it.
Yeah.
Before the like rooms would be dirty, Cheeky will come up with just dishes. And I'm like, hey, you need to like do your dishes. Don't take these dishes downstairs. So I always, there's a moment where like you like kind of going back to the point, like you feel like you're this grumpy person because you're just nagging them all the time. Right. And that's how I was feeling. Like I was just this big nag, like Jesus Christ. Like where did that?
You feel like every interaction is just negativity.
Yeah.
Right.
But lately it's been really well. Like, I'm just, I don't know. I catch those moments of how I am.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
adjust it.
I'm trying to fix that because I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Because even as an adult, we want to be better.
Right. Well, we're lucky now in our position. I mean, we've kind of made it through that rough patch. You know, with stepkids. There's a period of time where, I mean, I don't know. It's just, that's a very stressful time is when you're trying to navigate that. And we've made it through.
Yeah.
To the other side. You can be a dick on accident here and there. And they know that you love them. And you have that relationship there.
They're like, okay, so, he doesn't hate me.
And we know that the mom's not going to be. I mean, Blanca gets mother bear with both the kids. I say, if I get on Elena, she does the same thing. She'll get on me, but it's the same as she would do with Elliot.
Yeah.
Anytime I get on the kids, if she gets on the kids, it's fine. But if I get on the kids, it's like, oh, because you always pick everything up, right? It's because the house is so clean when you're walking around, right?
Yeah, and Mama Bear, dude. Alicia does that. She'll get like that, and I'm like, we used to have these arguments. I'm like, well, not arguments. We would talk. We'd have a dialogue. We never like scream at each other, but like we would have these discussions. Like I'm like, dude, it's my kid too. Like, just let me parent this way. And if I do something that she might perceive as like mean, that sounds like abuse. I'm gonna get myself
mean to me.
No, she'll like if she thinks I'm being like extra hard on the JJ, right? She'll say something to me. But I mean, she used to be just like that. I mean, she still does that now, where she's just like Mama Bear, hardcore.
Yeah,
don't talk to my son that way. Don't do that.
My son.
I'm like, our son. And I always had to do that. Like, even with my stepkids, like she would say, yeah, well, they're my kids. I'm like, our kids. Well, my kids. I'm like,
one time,
stop doing that because that's annoying. I would tell her, like, that's annoying. These are our kids together. Like, I know I'm not like biologically their dad, but they're my kids. I want this to be like, it's us.
One time early on, Blanca did that to me. And she didn't do it because she really thought it. She did it because she knew it'd piss me off. Basically, it was one of those things like, I'm so mad at you, I'm gonna make it sting.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what we were arguing about, but it was like a real like angry argument. And she goes something about like, well, like something about my daughter, and I was like, don't you dare do that. And I wasn't like, like slamming her in a corner or something, but I was just like,
don't you dare.
Picked her up. No, I didn't. I know. But it was just like, no. Like,
don't do that. That's not okay.
Like, we're not. And, in her defense, it was one of you're young and you say things and you do things.
You do stuff and you say
you grow and you learn. She never did that again.
Yeah, at least she hasn't done that.
That wasn't
forever.
what she wanted. I mean, like, that's the mark of if it's gonna work, it's because I don't know, like, and I'm not saying that I was always perfect at it or that we even to this day are probably perfect.
There's no perfect
as this blended family, but the idea of a perfect family is not real.
It's perfect for you,
and
as long as you're not beating the fuck out of your kids or your wife.
Well, on the stuff that I read, it said if your kids if you're going to have successful kids in a blended family, they need to feel loved, heard, and respected.
Yeah.
Basically. Like that's no matter what household, the statistics were completely even in success rates for kids when they had those elements. Didn't matter if it was a gay family, straight family, poor, wealthy, anything. The real, hard hitting.
Well, they want the kids to feel, you want your kids to feel involved.
If they feel secure and they feel heard and loved, they turn out okay.
Yeah.
And
so I think anyway, we're on the right path.
I think
we're gonna break that mold. Like, I don't know. I feel like.
Well, I wonder if now that it's less taboo, like they were saying that the millennial group, or who's the new group? I guess
the Gen Z.
Yeah, they don't see like a blended family or a divorce as really a bad or wrong or weird thing, whereas there used to be kind of stigma. So I do wonder if that's going to change things, if we're going to see the success rate go up.
No, but divorce is always going to be
for a guy that is in that position. The dad hates the guy, says nasty things to him or about him to the kids, and maybe the woman isn't as supportive. Like
if your like wife,
say
Alicia wasn't supportive.
Say Alicia was more defensive of, I don't know.
She was like,
you felt like you were the outcast in that scenario. What would your advice be?
I think you'd have to communicate with her how you feel. Really, I mean, it's as hard as it could be, because like the one thing I would say is I never talked down on Leo. Mm-hmm. There was never a moment where I was like, he's a piece of shit. Like because I never thought that. I just was like, okay, I mean, that sucks. I mean, I wish you didn't do that. So as hard as it'll be, like never talk down on that person, because you don't know if that your significant other is going to be defensive. Like, hey, that's my kid's dad. Don't talk about him like that. Like, no, you don't have the right to do that. Like, so I think just being open and just so
on the shorthand, you have to kind of suck some of that up.
You got to suck some of it up, but at the same time, like
communicate to your partner how you feel. Because not to the kids necessarily.
No, never tell the kids. Like, leave the kids out of it. When it involves adults, never involve the kids unless there's like a family meeting or whatever. But when it's in situations where, like, say the two dads or moms hate each other, like, don't ever involve the kids, because that's just gonna. I don't know. That's going to divide them in a sense, right? It's going to make it hard
long term. I mean, even just mentally, that's a big burden.
So anytime we had like discussions, me and Lisa we would talk. Like she was never like, because she knew I never, like I said, I never talked shit. I never said anything, because I always was like, I had that respect. So there's that respect for him and for her, because that's the kid's dad. I'm not gonna, you know what this is a new situation for him as well.
Yep.
Looking at it now, it's new for him.
It's new for everybody.
Alicia wasn't out having boyfriends all the time or anything, right? She did. I was really one of the first. Probably not the first boyfriend after they split up, but
so there was a lot of, I was like the reality setting in of like, oh shit, she's moving on. Yeah.
And so, there was that.
There's loss there.
And for him, I mean, you just respect, communicate, and just it's gonna be hard.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to suck it up, and you got to say something sometimes.
Right.
That going back to vulnerability, you're gonna feel vulnerable as fuck, right? So you need to like let yourself be vulnerable a little bit and say something.
Well, I'm
like, hey, you know what? I didn't really appreciate you said that. Like, I feel this is how I'm feeling right now. It is as weird as that sounds, but you gotta do it. As a man, it's hard to do that, but you have to do that.
An element of this is funny. It just kind of hit me how much more maybe difficult this would have been. I didn't have your scenario on the other side either. Not only were you dealing with the ex of her, but you had an ex. And I mean, Blanca's a pretty reasonable person. She wasn't that difficult to work with.
No,
but
she wasn't.
Still,
me and her had our moment.
But I do wonder how much harder it would have been if I did have a child, coming into my marriage.
Yeah.
And I had an ex, depending on her attitude.
Yeah.
And then Blanca.
Like a trifecta.
I mean, like if it was a scenario where both were like strong-willed.
Yeah. It's going to be
that would be a lot of stress, because for your kid, you would still have to somewhat be respectful of and defend
mom,
the other person. without destroying and disrespecting. I don't know.
I don't know if it'll work.
Dynamic.
To be honest with you, I think that's where a lot of couples kind of
honestly,
fail.
if you're gonna work, and that's for everybody involved, like everyone has to come to the table at some point and kind of get on the same page.
Well, and I think what for us, that's kind of
I think that's why it's worked.
It's worked like
in all angles. It's been respect.
It has.
And I'm sure there's been tensions here or there or whatever.
I don't know if there have.
Definitely not between us.
Not between us. I think maybe at first, like
but at first I know
between the women, maybe
the tension of like
I'm just gonna say maybe between the women, but I don't even think they ever had like a tension moment. Like, I gotta say it.
I think their personalities do mesh well together.
They do.
They're similar enough, but different enough.
Yeah, because Alicia's gonna say how she feels. Blanca's gonna say how she feels. Yeah. And they'll check each other in the end, if they needed to, but they don't. They get along.
They do have the relationship now to do that.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, and I know that Blanca, watching how Alicia is with Elena, she has a lot of appreciation in that.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Alicia has treated Elena the exact same, and we know that there's true love there. And so I know as a mom, speaking for her, of course. I just know from things that she said that she really appreciates that Elena does have, because I mean the beautiful thing about this. Let's talk about how beautiful it is. When you have a kid that has a successful scenario like this, they end up with two sets of parents that love them instead of two parents. They have four. Yeah, and
that's something that Alicia would always say, because like Elena, she's had her moments where she's just, she was going through some stuff, right? And so we
tough age where she's
so
at
we know we had to talk with her, just like, Mama, if you can't talk to me, you got three other parents that would love to listen to you. Like I'd say that Alicia would say, hey, we're here for you. Like Alicia, like you said, Alicia's always been there, and I don't know. Even it's weird because the way our dynamic works, it's awesome, and I would love it if other people were like that. And I'm not going to say it's going to be like that for everyone.
No, because again, we said there's four people. Probably four.
That's a lot of
that have to be
working parts,
congruent. Maybe even more than that if everybody has.
One thing I think is cool is like my son can come over here, right? Yeah, and he, I don't fear that he's going to be picked on. Right, he's just part of the family. Mm-hmm. We've come over to family events, right? And they accept Alicia as part of the family, and I've always felt like I'm still a part of this family, even though I was, me and Blanca have been split for years, right. So I don't know. There's that acceptance. Yeah. And one thing I will say to make it work too is don't let yourself like be run by emotions sometimes, because say the parent is maybe saying something to your daughter, right? Or your son, and you're like, you feel your mama bear, your daddy bear. That just sounds weird. Your papa bear, your daddy bear. but you feel like, because there was times where Alicia had to talk to Elena, and I don't know. I like in those moments, I got
instinctual reaction was
lash out, and don't do that. Like, and there were times where I didn't lash out on something happened and Elena was involved. Mm-hmm. Because I can't talk to the other kids because how I felt at that time. Right. What'd you do? I was bad at it. And I remember one day when I finally was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It just clicked to me. And I talked to Elena. She probably doesn't even remember, but I was just telling her, hey, I'm so sorry. Like this is not okay. Right. I shouldn't be blaming you for stuff or like coming at you that way. And Alicia I think she's the one who made me realize, she's like, why do you do that? Like, that's just stop. Like, don't do that. Like, you don't need to be that way. Like, let's get both sides of the story. Like she really came at me like, don't, like parents don't do that. You know, we're parents. We're not going to.
That's the thing. Like in a relationship where all the kids are shared by both parents, where it's like, your traditional family. Yeah. Really the successful way, parent together. If you disagree, you don't in front of the kids.
Yep,
You back
exactly.
each other up. You step away,
undermine.
and then you have a conversation.
Yep.
And if you want to mama bear it, then it's you asshole, don't you ever do that again.
Yeah.
You do that, but in the moment with the kids, like they have to see, and even in teaching, we talk about that.
Yeah.
Like the principals typically say, "I'm never going to undermine you in front of a parent. If you were wrong, then we'll have a conversation of that. Unless of course something that's really bad." But
what being undermined feels like shit. Like,
well,
it pisses you off,
and it puts you in a position of basically being a child. Which, if you're treated as a child, that's disrespect, and there's going to be tension and anger then built into that. And over the long run, then it depletes a relationship.
It does.
So if you're looking to stay, and again, I am not an expert because I definitely make my share of mistakes.
But you're a parent.
But you're right. Well, even in interacting with my spouse, I make mistakes,
dude. I think we all do.
But at the end of the day, like a lot of the times, Blanca and I, we have our issues, and we have long-term issues of things that, usually it's things that maybe we said or did when we were younger.
Yeah.
That still, you have to work through those things because it's like, well, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's a sensitive issue. Now it's in there. So if ever a situation comes up that makes that feeling come back,
it'll get brought up.
Then you have to work through it.
Yeah.
And, it's like, that's fair. Cause people, we have emotions and we have complex
I
systems of dealing with it. And
you got to work around that.
It's that much harder when you have all the blending going on.
Yeah.
But if you can get through to the other side, and if you can get to the point where you have more friendship and you have like a larger, I would argue that we're more like one big family.
That's how I feel. Like, that's why we're just weirdly bad.
And so it's a beautiful thing, and it works really well for the kids. It works well for the adults involved.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very healthy place to be.
Yeah.
So,
and we, not everyone has to have this, right?
Right.
But you can still be super
Just being
cordial.
cordial.
Like I was in a dad group, and I'd see some guys talking about how they have these great relationships with their exes, and they don't go to Thanksgiving and they don't do all that stuff, but like there's just that respect,
right?
And I think that's a big thing. Once you split, just know that things didn't work out,
right? On the other side too, boundaries. I could see a scenario where maybe the husband and wife didn't work, but they're great friends.
Yeah.
Well, and now there's a romantic relationship, but that friendship piece is too much. Could you see a scenario where she still goes over and just hangs out with them?
No, that's not cool.
These are the types of things, like on the other side, you have to make sure that those boundaries
I like to think me and Blanca, we weren't a great married couple, obviously, but I think we've always been really good friends. And I to this day, I think we're still pretty good friends. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we never were like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out.
Yeah. Like just with her. We're gonna go on a picnic.
Yeah. We're gonna go fucking go to the park or something.
You're gonna go fucking what?
Yeah. No, it was
but even now, like if I came home and you were just over, I wouldn't.
Well, I think you've come here and I was here because I'm like getting Elena, and so me and Blanca are just like talking because the kids are getting ready to do something. But
it's funny because like I think anybody else, I'd be really like, okay, what's going on? But like I don't know.
You my intentions aren't like I'm trying to like.
We have trust. We have belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was times like Leo went over. So back in the day when the kids would start like a new grade or whatever, like he would come over and he would like walk them to school and stuff like I still I do with Elena and and so I'd leave and it, he'd be at the house and there was a moment where.
You feel kind of
my jealousy kind of went up, because I was just I didn't know him and I was still pretty new in the relationship, and I'm like,
so
what if she wants him back?
You're leaving, and you're watching your family just there.
Yeah. So and I told Alicia
goodbye to you.
I told Alicia like, like because there was like a moment where she was crying about something and he like consoled her, but I wasn't there, and I was just like. I got pretty jealous at that moment.
Sure.
But at the same time, she's like, nothing happened. I go, I know. I just, I have that trust for her, and I know where she stood in his relationship.
But you did have insecurity.
Oh, hell yeah.
And understand. And I think that's the thing about insecurity too. We don't have a lot of healthy I don't. If I feel insecure, I instantly feel even worse about it because
I'm good at
insecurity is like a weakness, right? So I think our reaction to it is like defensiveness, shut down. That's mine. But
yeah.
I mean, like there's reason to be insecure in that scenario.
I have insecure moments.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty like I don't get jealous, but I get jealous, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
gotcha.
We've talked about it, but I'm not like a hardcore jealous person where I'm like, no.
Every day, like you're not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously scenarios will come up where it's just like, hey, but it's never, I don't know. I have a lot of trust in her.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty secure in our relationship where I know she's not going to stray off the path because she does though. But I don't know.
No, it's nice to be at that point. I mean, we've gotten there in our relationship too, where it's just like, if it were going to happen, it would have happened already. I think like we've had hard enough times. I mean, we were, I told you about that video we were watching with Elena, and we were thinking about it, and Blanca was bringing up like that was when she was working nights and weekends.
Oh, okay.
So
at Cadillac, huh?
Her shifts and my shifts were completely flip flopped. We were home in opposite times,
passing.
Oh yeah, we were two ships passing.
That's the one I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, Elliot was a baby. There was just a lot of stress. Back on the pressure because we got together, really rapidly developed a relationship, bought a house, jumped. I feel like I started a job. She changed jobs. Like all the life pressures that could happen
hit at once.
All of us hit in this sort of cataclysmic storm of crazy.
The Big Bang, if you will.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it because the beginning of life.
Yeah.
But we I don't know. I mean, I think back and it's like it's kind of miraculous that we made it.
Well, if you can make it through something that hard, I mean, what can't you make it through?
And we've had ups and downs. I mean, it does ebb and flow. There are times where she has to tell me that things aren't great or whatever,
and that's normal. That's a part of a healthy relationship, I think.
Yeah,
I'm sure your parents have had those moments
I'm
where
sure they have.
They Dad, you need to act right.
Well, I remember,
Mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I've said this in an earlier podcast, so I'll just make it quick. But there was an old couple that were talking, and they were asked, "How did you stay together for like 70 years or whatever it was?" And the old gal just said, "You're not always going to be in love with each other." So when you don't feel like you're in love, just love them. Yeah. And eventually that feeling will come back.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, it'll happen over and over. But it's not normal to be in love, like infatuated with each other all the time.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the dopamine rushes all the time. But it's going to happen again. And if you're not just totally tuned out to the relationship, that part comes back.
That's true.
So, I thought, interesting.
Yeah. Like it's weird because you grew up in this loving home. Seeing your mom,
we would argue and things. We were very vocal.
Well, I'm saying like for you, like your mom and dad. You grew up in a loving home, and that's
no divorce. I didn't.
So for going back to the blend thing, like I mentioned earlier, is like I grew up in a blended family. That's just all I knew.
Right.
I didn't know my dad. I didn't know that. I just knew my brother and sister's dad, my stepdad, and our other stepdad, and so. But it was never like I think the kids for like in your situation, mine, they see the love we have for our significant spouse, right? Like I grew up, I didn't see that. Like I didn't see the lovey-dovey mom and dad are kissing or and our kids see that with you and Blanca and me and Alicia. Me and her are always like hugging or kissing. We're not like constantly, but anyway, I didn't see that, and so I just seen. I love you. Pow.
Hey.
Right in the kiss. Like I never actually
on the moon, ma.
Yeah. That's how I grew up, but that's what I never associated like, oh, I'm gonna beat my wife because that's what true love looks like.
And then all joking aside, I probably shouldn't make a joke about that, but like there was actual physical violence.
Oh yeah. My mom would she'd get her ass beat, but she would fight back and stuff. But there'd be times like I saved pictures because my mom documented some stuff. Like she got punched in the mouth. She was in an arm sling because her arm got fucked up.
Jeez.
Our whole house got destroyed. Like it was a very violent, abusive household.
Uh-huh.
And then I thank God I turned out the way I did. I just never let it. I don't know. I don't know what it was about me that I just was like, I just knew that, obviously I was smart. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
So, seem healthy.
So for me, like growing up, it's, we never heard the word I love you a lot, or, there was not a lot of like hugging. And so for me becoming a parent, that's where I was like, no, I tell my kids all the time, I love you.
Was it something
I love
that
you. Love you, little kids.
Because my dad, they were in an abusive household when he was growing up, and he had, his parents were together. They divorced after the kids moved out, but his parents were together. But his dad worked a lot and wasn't very involved. His mom, she was just interesting. I loved her. She was my grandma, but she was just different that way. She wasn't super supportive. It sounds like, or at least the way he felt. They were just not very involved, supportive parents. Yeah. And so he, I forget where I was going with that.
Abusive.
I remember what I was thinking. So he did the same thing. I mean, like all the things that resonated with him, things that he, like for him, I got the feeling he knew what he missed and what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so he purposely gave that to us.
Yeah. And I think
was it the same for you? Like, did you cognizantly realize the pieces that were missing?
Yeah, I think so.
And how did you know that?
I don't know. That's the thing.
It was just intuitive.
It was just something I knew. Like, I look back on my life, and there's not things I would change. Obviously, I wouldn't be the person I am now. But like I said, even after like the step, we never got the I love yous and the hugs all the time. It wasn't emotional like that. It was just, we knew our mom loved us, but it was just never like spoke out, it was just
right.
And so I was like, you know what? I want my kids to know, like to know that you can talk to me. Cause I was very like Elena. I kept a lot of stuff in. I keep it inside, and then to this day, I'm still kind of that way. I'm a lot better.
It's fascinating though. I haven't met your brother, but you've told me a lot about your brother.
My brother's very outspoken.
I've met your sister, right? But you guys are all pretty well adjusted. I mean, there's not any of you that have major issues. So it's amazing that you guys all grew up, experiencing that, and all of you have kind of broken that cycle.
And so my brother and sister never really seen the physical violence from their dad because they were so small. Like, but I remember,
so that you
for me, I was like 7 years older than them. So I
them.
Yeah, I seen it all the time. Like it was normal, whatever.
Okay.
They do remember some stuff, but like for me, I've seen it all the time.
Gotcha.
And then our stepdad that came in,
this is after.
Yeah. Once we moved to Washington, I didn't really care for the guy, like he was cool, whatever at that time, but he was also just he was garbage, like drugs. And that's kind of the cycle. There was drugs in the house. My mom was, she was on drugs, whatever, but I don't know. I think we all of us seen that and just like, no, that's not okay. I mean, we went to church and stuff, but I don't think it was church.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was just, I think my mom, let us know it's not okay. And she would, that you can't do that.
Did you see like other people? Like, did you?
What do you mean see
like
other people?
if you did you see other people?
See dead people.
Did you go to like if you'd go to church?
Yeah.
Did you see families and be like, see a dad hug his kid or something? Like, do you feel like you learned from those experiences?
Probably my uncle, I think.
Okay, so you had
because I lived with my uncle when I moved to Washington. I lived with my uncle.
Okay,
and so he taught me a lot about like what family is and how to be.
And how old were you at that point? Were you?
I was
high school,
middle school.
I
was middle school, gonna be going to high school pretty soon.
So you were young enough.
I was like seventh, 8th grade.
Okay, so it kind of formed you a little bit.
Yeah. And I lived with my uncle and my grandma. And so, there was just that I got a lot of love there, and I got my uncle I think he kind of molded me to be a good guy in a way. I never thought about it until I'm talking about it actually.
So you're older. Yeah. Well, because most kids aren't that.
Go mow the yard, do this, he built that in me to be that way. And so even after I moved into, with my mom again, I'd clean the house. I'd do that shit. I was trying to be this big brother parent to my brother and sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Came out. It worked out.
Yeah. So to the families that don't have everything together, those kids out there,
It could work.
good luck. I mean, just hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do better for your kids than maybe what was done for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what it is. You want better for your kids than
Yeah.
you want for yourself.
And luckily that's natural for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
But cool.
I don't know.
Well, I think we salvaged that.
I think we did. I think we did a good job.
Yeah. Again, those of you listening, this is now Sunday morning. We started on Friday night. Some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Just want to end. Rest in peace to my dog Beans.
Yeah. Poor Beansy.
Poor Beansies. He's up there.
He's feeling, but he's probably running around like crazy up there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But anyway, everyone have a good week.
All right.
We'll get this out and cut, and you guys won't even know.
Yeah.
You will because you heard it.
Yeah. You heard
anyway.
it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. All right.
All right.
Later.